Hey friends, nothingwired.com, and you're looking at the brand new Nikon D5300. Now I'm so excited because it's the first Nikon device to come up with the next gen image processing engine, that's the X-Speed 4. Now Nikon and Canon and all these manufacturers are known to experiment their latest or next gen feature on the entry level products, but that's good for us, right? So in this review video, we're going to tell you what's in the box. We're going to talk about the hardware, the lens. You see it comes with an 1855 VR kit, the usual one. It's a G lens, no aperture ring. And then we'll talk about the UI and X-Speed 4, all the buttons and everything, and then performance and image and video quality, and at last hopefully we'll be able to tell you whether it's worth your time and money. So let's get started, won't you? It's a very typical Nikon box. You see black base, and then you have all golden colors, and in yellow the Nikon. This is D5300. You see comes with the 1855G VR kit. It's the black color. DX lens, of course, all plastic made. You can see f by 3.5 to 5.6. Nothing much on this side. Here you will quickly see what's inside the box, but I'm gonna show those to you anyway. Then you have the pricing information here. In India, there you can see the MRP is 58,950, but you would get it for a couple of thousand, maybe even less on online retailer or from your local vendor if you can strike a good deal. So let's go ahead and quickly open the box and see what's inside. So I'm gonna open the box and then open the flaps, and you first have the manual. So let's see what Nikon gives you. You have, that's kind of your service center guide world over. You have all the addresses out there. Then you have your service facilities and some other informations. You have Nikon's View Annex 2 that comes with almost all the premium cameras. Then your quick start user manual, then your warranty card. Yeah, now I'll straight away show you the Nikon body first. That's your D5300 body. Yeah, but we'll come back to it a little later. First we'll see what else is in the box. Let's close this, and then you see that's the battery. It's 1230 mAh battery, ENEL14A. Yeah? Then we have your round pin wall adapter that will go with the wall charger here. Yeah, so you have this flat pin adapter that goes in some countries like US and Europe. You can simply attach here to use this in countries like India and some other countries where the round pins are prevalent. Then you have your data transfer cable here, your USB, and then the mini USB 2.0 port there. You have the usual Nikon default strap that comes in the kit, and then you have your AV cables right there. Now let's come to the lens. See, okay, so you're gonna take it out like this way, and I'm gonna make a mess of the whole packet here. So there you have. So it's not an upgraded lens, mind you. It's the same old 1855 f by 3.5 to 5.6 VR kit lens. I really like this lens. It's very handy, light, although made of plastic, and it has a very good minimum focal distance. Yeah, so now let's keep this aside and we'll check out the camera body. Yeah, so there you go, the Nikon 5300 here. I'm gonna just zoom in a bit and then show you. Very signature Nikon body. You can see that red strap, and then you have almost all the usual buttons at their own places. No places for this finger, but that's understandable on an entry level camera. Almost same build quality that Nikon is known for, which is very rugged. We absolutely love them. The build quality of Nikon I always personally found better than Canon, and more rugged as well. So we'll come back with the hardware review in detail. Now you might ask how the D5300 is different from the very popular D5200. There are 4 major differences. Number 1, and one of the biggest, is that this guy has a brand new image processing engine, the XSpeed 4. Number 2, it does not have a low pass filter, so expect slightly sharper images. Number 3, the LCD is slightly bigger, 3.2 inch diagonally compared to the 3 inch in the case of D5200. It also has more resolution. And number 4 is that D5300 has an improved video performance, or improved video frame rate basically. So now it records at 60p progressive. The D5200's maximum video performance resolution was up to Full HD 60i, that's interlaced. Apart from that, there are few minor differences here and there. Some mainly are in the design. For example, you have the drive mode now situated here instead of here somewhere, where then your the gap here is slightly more, which actually helps you holding the camera better here. Apart from that, most of the buttons and design are almost identical to that of the 5200. Having said that, let's take a look at the controls and button placement out here. So on the front side you have the sensor right there. It's an APS-C sensor, DX format camera. It's an advanced entry-level camera. Then you have the lens ring here, of course. Then your lens release button. You have your autofocus assist lamp here, the IR receiver, then your flash button there. Your FN button is also situated here. Then of course the drive mode I've just shown you, and then your D5300. So let's go and quickly attach the kit lens. So the kit lens we got is 18 to 55 mm. You also get another variant where you'll get the 18 to 140 mm kit lens. So with the 18 to 55 mm kit lens, this guy cost about 58,000 odd rupees, and with the 18 to 140 mm kit lens, this guy cost over 79,000. So that's how it looks with it. Almost identical to the D5200, you see. So that's our 1855 mm lens. It's the same old f by 3.5 to 5.6 VR DX G lens. You have the autofocus and manual button here. Then you have a VR on or off, no active or normal mode, no manual override, simple. And then you have your zoom ring out here, and then your focus ring, which only should be used when this is in M mode. You can also rotate it in A mode, but that's might gonna spoil the motor. So remember, do not move this while this is in auto. Move this to M and then move it if you want. Also note that the D5300 also like the D5200 does not have an autofocus motor on the body. So your lens has to have an built-in autofocus motor, like in the case of the 1855 here, to be able to autofocus on this body, which means that the older lenses which does not have an autofocus built-in motor, like not those AFI and AFS lenses, and some of the sharpest modern lenses, for example the 50mm 1.8 or the 35mm very sharp lenses, not the G ones, the older ones, which are very cheap and sharpest, won't work with this because they have an aperture ring and they do not have an autofocus motor built in. But then that's kind of differentiate the entry level or the advanced entry level with the mid-level cameras of Nikon. Now let's look at the top. You start with the usual button placements. Apart from the drive mode here, you have your power lever, then your shutter release button, you have your exposure compensation scale, which also doubles in combination with this dial as the aperture control in a full manual mode, and that's the aperture symbol out there. So you have an info button that shows you the information right here on the LCD. There you see the information there. You can toggle it from here. Your video recording button, and it's very conveniently placed. I absolutely love the placement of the video recording button here. You see it has Wi-Fi and GPS built in, and I forgot that's the 5th major difference with the D5300. Then you have your mode dial, very crowded here. You have P, S, A, M, all the usual. Then your FX, and then portrait mode and some other quick settings. Then scene and auto without flash mode and your auto mode. So there you can see you can rotate it both sides, and you can rotate it 360 degree. It does not lock, which is very convenient. Yeah. And then this is how you switch toggle your live view. So just pull the lever and your live view switches on, and then you can click still, yeah, or you can just tap the video button to start recording. Apart from that, you have your eyelet for your lanyard, then the accessory hot shoe, stereo, then your speaker, yeah, and your sensor marker. So that's about it. The buttons on this side, you have your lone SD card slot. Then this side you have a few ports out there. You have your external mic port, then your AV out, then your remote out here, and then the HDMI port. We missed the headphone jack, but that's okay considering the target audience this guy is aimed at. On the back you have the menu button here, and then your 95% coverage viewfinder adapter, your I button that will actually, once you select show the info, by pressing this you can actually toggle and change all the functions out here. Yeah, so that's how it changes. You can also have your retouch and everything. Basically it brings up the commands. Yeah. Then your autofocus and auto exposure lock button, the main command dial that's used to change the main function. Suppose in aperture priority mode it will change the aperture, in shutter priority mode it will change the shutter speed, and in full manual mode it will change the shutter speed, and when you press this and then move it, it will change the aperture. Then you have a playback button, the joystick, and then OK button, your zoom in and zoom out, and then delete, and then your CPU indicator. Coming to the 3.2 inch LCD screen, it's, as I told you, bigger and has more resolution. It's 270 degree articulating, which is very good, but one of our biggest disappointment is that it's not a touchscreen. And at this age, like more and more cameras are coming with touchscreen. It's really the touchscreens are more convenient, at crunch time. So I've always loved touchscreen. So that's one of the things I really expected to see, mainly in the consumer grade, is advanced entry level DSLRs. Below you have the tripod mount, and then your battery compartment out here. It takes that 1200 mAh EN-EL14A battery. So that's about it. Typical Nikon grade, heavy, rugged polycarbonate body. It has slight metal at places like here, then eyelets, and then that's how you pop the flush out. There you see, and then you have patches of rubbers to give you the grip. So overall, a very familiar and typical Nikon body here. Now let's check out the interface of this camera. So I'm going to switch it on, and straight away you can see the information out there. You can toggle it by pressing this button. So information off, information on. I've shown you by pulling this lever you can switch on the live view, and there you see all the informations out there. Sadly it's not a touch screen, and you can record your video straight from here, or you can click still. I'm gonna switch the live view off, and then bracketing, and then some other stuff. So the moment now I'm in the full manual mode here. The moment you rotate this, you see the shutter speed where is here, and then the moment I press this and then rotate this, you see the aperture starts moving. And because I have my ISO in auto mode, so that's gonna change automatically as well. There you can see it has a 39 point autofocus system, out of which 9 are crosshair types. You can also have a simpler 11 point autofocus system, which I actually find quite apt for most situation. 39 points you would actually need if you want to focus on really tiny things, like for example your eyelashes or part of the eyelashes. Only that time you need all the 39 points, because they are very closely situated. Most of the time 11 point focus are good enough. Let's check out the main menu now, and I'm in the playback mode. You can rate your pictures, rotate, and do some basic editing stuffs. And then you come to the shooting menu. There you see image quality. It supports JPEG fine or raw basic. Note that by default the image quality is generally JPEG normal, so you might want to change to JPEG fine or only raw. The raw will give you more options or more flexibility while post processing. And then you have 14-bit and 12-bit raw. You have white balance and distortion controls, active delighting, which is like the dynamic range handling by this camera, and then long exposure, noise reduction, high ISO NR, then ISO sensitivity, and it goes from 100 all the way till 12,800. And then also you have a high button, so practically it goes up to I think 25,600. And then you have release mode. That's basically your drive mode, or this is what Nikon calls a release mode. So you have single, continuous, low, high, a max of 5 FPS, and then your self timers here, and then your movie settings. There you can see now you can click at up to 60p in NTSC mode, and in PAL mode of course it's 50p. You can also shoot at 30p or 24p. You can also shoot at 720p. So that's the setting, and then your autofocus menu, yeah, and they're pretty usual. And if you've been using a Nikon camera, and even if you do not use a Nikon camera, just spend some time with it. There are a lot of customization options out here, bracketing, controls. Here you can set your FN button. By default it's ISO. I also like sometimes to keep it as the metering, because I toggle between the matrix and spot metering a lot. And then your setup menu, where you do your monitor brightness, so that's going to reduce it, and then info displays and some other stuffs, yeah, and then your retouch menu, and then the reset settings, yeah. Now in the playback you have your playback menu, and also you can press the I to give this image a rating, or you can retouch. You can straighten the image, you can do quick retouch or resize, distortion control, fisheye, and some other basic editings. But it has a lot of editing options, by the way. However, I generally like to do all my post-processing on desktop on a much bigger screen with the help of specialist software like Photoshop or Lightroom or Aperture or Final Cut Pro or those kind of software, rather than the in-camera editing. But if you there are times where you might want to just click a photo, do a basic editing, and transfer the photos or videos to your phone via the GPS or Wi-Fi, and then quickly share them. At that time those quick retouch help. Wi-Fi and GPS built in. There's an app comes for your phone for Android and iOS, so you can, by help of those, transfer your media to your phone and then share them. The D5300 is not a lightning fast system. There is lag at times, especially while switching to the live view mode and some other functions. The AF also hunts a lot in live view mode under low light, but our biggest problem was the noise made by the autofocus motor on the 1855 kit lens. At times it was so severe we had to give up. I'm tempted to believe that this particular kit lens piece is doing that, because I also have one to myself and it does not bother so much. So that's probably only with the base here. The 39 point as well as the 11 point autofocus system performs admirably while using the viewfinder particularly. The 95% coverage didn't bother me much. A little tip: always try to use an FX or a full frame lens on a DX body like the D5300. Although they are relatively costly, apart from the usual better optics and construction, what you will get is an extremely sharp edges towards the side of the screen, because only the centermost part of those lenses cover the APS-C sensor, and generally the center towards the center where all the sharpness lies. Now, talking about the photo quality, under enough light the photos come out extremely sharp and detailed. The photos also have just the right amount of hue and saturation. The 5300 has a very good low light performance. You start seeing slight noise at about ISO 1600 and photos are still okay for web even at ISO 6400. There is significant amount of chromatic aberration noticed when the lens was stressed, but that was more like for the lens and not so much about the body. There is a fair bit of barrel distortion. However, because the lens is not very telephotic, you should observe negligible pincushion distortion. As the D5300 does not have a low pass filter, we observed healthy moire here and there. You can of course correct it in post-processing. The video details are stunning with no fuzziness or color loss. The still to continuous servo mode failed to act at times, so we switched to an all continuous focus while recording video, and then it was all sunny. We were particularly impressed with the high ISO noise reduction performance under extremely low light. Sadly, you can't change the aperture or the shutter speed during the video recording. You have to do that before you start recording a video. Whether you should buy the D5300. Well, first of all, you should know that this is not a revolutionary upgrade over the D5200. In fact, none of the D50XXX versions are revolutionary upgrade from over the earlier one. The 5200 was also not so major upgrade over the 5100, and the same applies to the 5300. However, it brings in some very fresh perspective, and it actually looks much more modern than the 5200. For example, the progressive recording and new image processing engine, then slightly enhanced ergonomics and all those stuffs are much more modern. The built-in GPS and Wi-Fi, of course, very important in today's age where the smartphones are giving toe-to-toe competition to the cameras, mainly the entry-level or the advanced entry-level cameras. Now, compared to D5200, of course, this is much more expensive, but then GPS and Wi-Fi is very important, plus a progressive recording is very important. But if you're and of course the optical low pass filter actually does not matter much in everyday life. You really have to stretch the cameras to be able to see the differences. So if you're not finicky about those extra sharpness or details that you'd be able to see without the OLPF, or you're not finicky about a progressive recording, and then some other stuff, so you're more budget conscious, you can actually buy the 5200. But I personally would get the 5300 because it's more future ready and the connectivity options are much better right here. Canon competition mainly is the 700D, but then the 5300 actually, in my opinion, wins hands down because it clearly has more power and more feature than the 700D. Now there are other alternative mainly from the mirrorless camera categories. You have the NEX 7 from Sony and 7 series, and then you also have the brilliant Panasonic Lumix GX7. You also have a couple of Fujifilm cameras out there. They are much more compact, they do not have the mirror, so you get a faster frame rate, plus they also have interchangeable lens system, and some of them even have the APS-C sensor. Biggest disadvantage of mirrorless cameras is that its ecosystem right now is very restricted. You only have very few lenses that are available out of the box for the body. You can of course use various adapter to use various lenses, but the less adapter the better. So at the end of the day, at 58,000 with the 1855mm lens and about 80,000 with the 140mm lens, I think the D5300 is slightly, at least about 6,000 more expensive than I would have wanted. But then this is a new camera. Of course, Nikon has to skim the market, and after all, I mean, even if you pay this much amount, I guess you can, you can just probably buy the body and then you can use an FX lens, which I personally would prefer. Paying that extra amount for some of the modern features might give you a very good camera that's at least will hold very modern for the next 2 years. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you want more such awesome videos in future, then please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.